Hello, Orville Nation. Hello, Alicia, Mr. Lundell, Adega, Don, everybody who's in here. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. We have, I gotta say, which is probably going to be one of the most intriguing interviews we've done in a while. First, let me introduce our co-host, Raquel, just
Hey, everybody.
because.
How's it going, everybody? Great to see you. So happy to see you tonight.
Yes, and it's so good not to see you, Raquel. Actually, we're seeing the Vulcan Raquel tonight. So I do want to introduce you guys, somebody who you may have seen in our online circles, especially on Twitter. I want to introduce a true expert and I would almost say savant with regards to some of the stuff that you do, KIRI. KIRI Morning, welcome and thank you for joining us, KIRI.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And when I don't use the word savant lightly, because when we've seen even just the picture that I put up for the thumbnail was one of your pictures from your Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
It's just mind blowing, and hopefully you're going to walk through that. But it's some of the work you do is mind blowing, and I cannot believe that George Lucas did not have you working on Skywalker Ranch or something.
It's funny. Actually, one of my earliest childhood memories was going to see Star Wars in 1977 with my mom and my aunt. I was about 2.5 years old, which is unusual in itself because usually your earliest memories, especially when you're as old as me, go back to maybe 5 years old, 6 years old. But I clearly remember that day standing outside the theater, with the red satin ropes on one side on the sidewalk, and then the posters on the wall with all the lights around them on the outside, the actual box office, which I could never figure out why it was called a box office because it was round. Right in the middle with the entrances going around it, and then the carpeted. Again, I don't know why they ever did that because it's such a bad idea. But the carpeted concession stand floor and
Yeah.
But I remember all that because when that movie started, it literally changed my life, and that was what I wanted to do since I was little, was get into special effects and filmmaking.
Really? All the way
Yeah,
back then?
yeah. And pardon me, I learned all kinds of stuff over the years, honed my craft and whatnot, with that in mind. But then I let somebody sidetrack me. I managed to get onto the set of a Hollywood production that was being shot in my city, and I talked to the head makeup artist there because that was the kind of the focus I was in at the time, was special effects makeup. And she says, "Yeah, your work is really good and everything, but there are 1,000 other people trying for the same job as you, so you should have a backup." And that kind of, took the wind out of my sails, and I just sort of let it go until I moved to Hong Kong and saw, DSLRs were really cheap, and um, film equipment and whatnot. So I thought, hey, I could do this on my own. I don't need to go and work for some studio in Hollywood and, hopefully get noticed. I could do it myself. So I started doing that. And I actually moved towards directing and editing for a while. So.
I wanted you to meet George Peter Gatsis, and it looks like he's going to be a little late because he's having trouble with something. But I wanted you to meet George because he is a one person show, and in many ways, and you are You are too in many ways because you're so versatile with
Well,
everything.
when I started directing, I basically thought if I, coming from doing special effects and makeup and whatnot, the way I thought of it was if I learn at least something, a working knowledge of every aspect of the filmmaking process, that'll make me a better director because then I know, okay, if we set up this shot, it's going to make it much harder for the editor to cut it in post-production, or, you know, we need to set the lighting up just this way so that, when they're color grading, it'll work out better or whatever. So, and things like sound, which, are more important than any of the visuals, what's this surface going to sound like on the recording? So, I learned a little bit about everything. Plus, I didn't know a lot of people in Hong Kong that were into filmmaking, so I kind of had to learn everything if I wanted to produce a finished product.
That's now. How long? Can I ask how long you've been in Hong Kong?
I've been here for 12 years.
12 years. Okay, gotcha. Now, are there projects that? Well, I know a lot about you already, so I know there's a lot of stuff on your bucket list.
Hmm.
What's the next? What's the project that you wanna get off the ground right now?
Well, the one that I'm working on the most right now is this right here.
Yeah.
It's my Final Fantasy 14 Dragoon cosplay. It's actually cosplay of my character in the game, which has a really big um, sentimental value to me. This character literally saved my life. So I decided to do a cosplay of her um, in sort of honor of that.
Oh
And
wow.
incidentally, my screen name is her name. So yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm not so familiar with that stuff, so I did not realize that's where your name came from. Okay.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of a long story, and we can always talk about it at some point. But um, I decided I wanted to do this to remind myself of, you know, kind of where I came from, if you want to
Sure.
get to it.
Now, Kiri, just for the people who are watching, you usually stream at this time, right?
Yes, I stream on
2 times a week?
Mondays. Yeah, Mondays and now Thursdays. I changed it. It used to be Monday and Friday at 10, but my Friday streams um, weren't getting too many views, so I changed it to Thursday because it seems Friday has a lot of streamers much bigger than me going on. So uh, I decided to switch it over. So now it's Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm basically working on this cosplay um, and, chatting with my viewers and whatnot, showing them my tips and tricks and that sort of thing. But
And it's fun to watch.
oh,
It's fun
thank
to
you.
watch. I've watched the show and I think it's absolutely
It,
terrific. Your
It
pattern
is.
making is unbelievable. It's so wonderful. I think you're extremely talented.
well, thank you. If you watched my last one, I started on the Makote tail, and it's kind of done. It needs to be a little bit more flexible, but yeah, there it is.
I
Can
watched
you?
the one where you were doing the very intricate work on your cuffs, and I thought it was really cool because your chat was asking you a whole bunch of questions about how you
These
render
were yeah.
things. Yeah, you render things in paper, and then you start creating them, and it's part discipline and also part art form. I really love watching you just take out your scissors and just do it freehand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, a lot of cosplayers will, plan things out, print them on paper, and do that. I've tried that for some things, but for me, especially when I'm doing something, like this, where the shapes are really complicated, I find it easier to just, get the paper, slap it on, and sort of, add little bits here and there when I need to get to where I need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Kiri, what can you, for those of you, for those of us who have, well, for those of the people in the chat who haven't seen your videos, can you just walk us through with like what you just had in your hand?
oh, this
Can-
this
no,
is
oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, walk
this
us
one.
through all, yeah, all three of them.
My character is a Mikote, which is basically a cat person. So this is her tail, and it's made out of 3 layers of 10 millimeter EVA foam, more commonly known as floor mats. Um, so I basically drew the shape out on a floor mat. I did it freehand because I've got cats and I know what their tails look like and how I wanted my character's tail to look like. Um, but the idea was to make it animated, so when I'm walking, it actually moves rather than just be post sticking out of the back of my my rear end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And the idea that I got was those little wooden or plastic magic snakes where you hold the end of the tail, and when you turn it, it slithers
Mm-hmm.
because it's interlocking pieces. And I kind of got the idea of that. So what I've done is I've cut little notches to weaken it so it's got some flexibility. And to add more motion to it, I'm going to run some fishing line attached to a motor with a cam on it. So as it turns, it'll pull on one side and the other, and hopefully have the tail sway back and forth even when I'm standing.
Wow.
The way it's going to be mounted on the hip armor, because I do have a fair bit of a sway to my hips when I walk, it'll be mounted in such a way that as I walk, it tilts side to side, and as you can see, it sways in the opposite direction. Um, so that's the skeleton, and then I'm going to get some costume fur in hopefully in the right shade of purple, because yeah, my character's got purple hair, and with a little bit of white on the tail, and I'm going to basically make a skin with that fur, and then if everything goes well, it will be a nice, cute, cat-like animated tail sticking out of my bum.
Well, let me just say the craftsmanship looks amazing.
Thank you.
It does. It really does. And what about what you what was it what you had behind you that you just put that you had before?
Oh, well, I can.
The was it a what is it called?
Mannequin. It's the mannequin she uses to develop all of her pieces when she
Yeah,
takes them from paper.
Oh, I
I
meant the bracelet. Yeah, but go ahead.
I'll get this thing off of there. So here's my mannequin. I actually made this as well, out of duct tape and some old clothes. That way it's an exact, well, not exact anymore because I'm a little bit chubbier than this, but um, it's my body rather than just a generic mannequin. And so what you were saying is here the gauntlet.
Mhm.
It's not quite finished. It's still rough, but I've got the skirt armor mostly finished. The breastplate, one of the pauldrons. I'm going to redo this part of the upper arm armor because it kind of sticks out too much for my liking.
Wow.
And then in the back, I've got all these funky blades sticking out everywhere.
KIRI,
then,
just like that shoulder piece right there with the spike. Could you tell us how did you go about making that piece, for example?
So this, let me just put the camera back on my
Because that looks
stand.
amazing. I mean, that
Yeah,
looks
I'm
really
actually
amazing.
really pleased with how this thing turned out. My previous, we call it a pauldron, and my previous pauldron was for my ODST Halo armor, and that was all straight angles, so it was very easy. I cut the shape, angled the edges, glued the edges together, and done. This takes a lot more. So basically, what I did was I made somewhere in this mess patterns, and I actually used my foam wig head that I've got to get the shape, and I covered it with saran wrap and then duct tape. And I drew the pattern, actually masking tape in this case, but I drew the pattern onto 3D shape. And then when I was done, I took it all off, cut it out, transferred it onto the foam. And for some parts of it, like this piece in the middle here, it's actually two pieces, the front and the back, glued down the center. And it's got a dart, very similar to like where you would see a dart around the side of the breast for a woman's fitted garment that isn't stretchy. So what I did was I basically heat the foam up with my heat gun. And when you heat EVA foam up, it becomes soft and malleable. And you can get quite a lot of shape out of it, even compound curves to a point.
KIRI, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind showing the viewers at home, your, I think it's an iPad where you have the photograph of your character. I just
Yes.
want to show them the deep, rich purple. That photograph is just so beautiful, and then they get an idea of how accurate your work is.
Okay, let me find some.
The character is just amazing, and the work is so good. I just want people to have an idea of what's taking shape in your mind.
Right. Okay, so these are screenshots from the game. Make sure I get the glare out of there. So here's the gauntlet so far. There we go.
Looks amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this one is actually, I decided to go with Warbler, which is a thermoplastic.
Mhm.
It's nice and stiff. It's nice and stiff, very much like, almost like hard paper when it's cool. But if you heat it up, it can become extremely malleable to the point of like clay even.
Mhm.
That's
Did you
why
finish the embellishments that go on that gauntlet on that wrist?
Not yet. They're still in
Oh, there
this
they are.
flat
Lovely.
foam.
Yeah.
These have got to get covered with the Warbler and shaped and then stuck on. The nice thing about Warbler is it is when it's heated up. So here's a scrap piece, and it's actually two layers. Let's see if I can pull them apart. Yeah. So it's very floppy, And what I do with the gauntlet, for example, is I sandwich this very, very thin craft foam that you can get at like any craft store or whatever. I sandwich it in between two pieces of Warbler, and I can actually show you with these scraps. So my handy heat gun. So as you can see now, it's not stiff at all. But the nice thing is now it's almost like clay.
Neat.
And you can actually mold it and shape it just like clay or whatever. And then when it cools, it becomes hard plastic again. And it sticks to itself.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so no glue required. It's self-adhesive, it's moldable, and it's reusable. So if you screw it up, you can just heat it up, take it off, and do it over again.
Yeah.
So I've got all these little bits and pieces and scraps that I don't throw away because I can use them for, you know, like I was doing here, just, you know, rolling it up into really thin sausages and making, you know, detail scroll work or something like that. Whereas EVA foam, the scraps are kind of useless.
Yeah.
You know, I keep these around because these pointier ones, I use them to spread my glue onto the pieces that I'm working on before throwing them away. So I kind of keep them around too. But yeah, it's really cool stuff.
So can you tell us about your next class? What's your next stream? What's your next show going to be about? What piece are you working on next?
The next one will be tomorrow at 9 p.m. And I'm actually going to be doing a teaser of the weapon, which I can show you as well. The iconic Dragoon weapon. I'm trying to find those pictures actually, so we kind of got sidetracked. So yeah, no, that's not a good one.
And everyone please sub to KIRI's channel.
Yes.
Just take a second, guys. Take a second. There's 16 people in here right now. Take a second and sub to KIRI's channel, guys.
I cannot express strongly enough to the chat how wonderful KIRI is as an instructor and how informative her classes are. This is more than just a stream and a show. This is KIRI actually teaching you things that you couldn't learn anywhere else. And this is part art, part discipline, and she is just so gifted. Please tune in because, wow, you will learn a whole bunch of stuff you didn't know before. She'll give you tools.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So here we go. So here is my character in all her cute glory, and I'm going to be doing a teaser for this. Can't get the angle right. This weapon right up here.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
That is the iconic Dragoon lance. And it's going to be a teaser because I'm actually going to be locking the rest of the build for that in my Patreon. So hopefully people will come and support me on Patreon. If you do support me, it helps me to keep this stuff going and do more of it.
And we'll definitely get that put up for everyone. So just so you know, you can go and you can visit her there and finish off these classes. But you can start off with the teaser on the YouTube channel and interact with KIRI. And if you have questions or if you want to know something, she'll definitely answer your questions.
Yep.
Yeah, I love your streams. You talk to everybody in the chat while you're doing stuff, and it's very informative. And visually, it's very easy to learn from you. I agree with Raquel. Guys, and who are just everybody who's just coming into the chat right now, wait till you see the Millennium Falcon that Kiri is going to show us.
Well, before that, I'm going to show off a couple of other Star Wars related things.
Okay.
Here is a hero replica of
Wow.
Han Solo's DL-44 that I made. And I actually sourced out the Greeblies from the original companies that provided them to Lucasfilm, namely these guys here.
Wow.
They are from the actual airplane model company that provided these exact parts to Lucasfilm, along with the side here. They were like engine parts for some rotary engine airplane. The flash hider is off of a World War II fighter plane machine gun.
Can you hold it up a little bit to the camera? Wow.
And Kiri has some lovely glamour shots that she did with some of these weapons, and they're really super cool. So if you want to see them, please go to her Twitter after the show if you'd like to see them still and you would like to get more detail and zoom up on them.
And this one here does need a little bit of repair because it broke when I moved. Oops. It is the A New Hope version of the Stormtroopers E11 blaster.
So excellent.
Wow.
So excellent. Woo!
Wow.
So good.
Most of it, I couldn't find the original pieces. Like this is a sight finder from a tank.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find one that was a reasonable price. Same with this Hengsler counter. So I had a friend of mine 3D print them from files that I found, but it's got the rails, they're T-tracks for sliding doors.
Oh, neat.
Really?
That were used on a, what is this thing called? I can't remember what this gun is, but this is actually an airsoft replica of the real World War II machine gun, submachine gun. Uh-oh, breaking everything.
You are such a talented maker. You are more than a cosplayer. You are a maker and an artist. I have so much respect for you.
Thank you.
No, you're like I said before, you're like a one person department of everything you can imagine that one might need for making a movie.
And there's more to come, folks. There's actually more to come. And this beautiful lady gets on her stream and she actually teaches you how to do this stuff. She's amazing.
This one, Sterling, that's what it was. It's a, thank you, whoever that was that mentioned it. Troy. Yeah, it's a British sterling from, I think, World War I or II. Lucasfilm used a lot of stuff from that era for their props because they weren't too familiar, but they were familiar enough, and they weren't too sci-fi to look at. This is another one that I did. This is my favorite airsoft gun. Did a whole lot of work to, and I actually did the paint job on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I gave it a brand.
That's great.
I don't know if you can read that, but
oh, okay.
That's great. By Kiri.
Yeah.
That's great. Are you selling those?
Yeah, actually, I do these on commission here in Hong Kong. I do it internationally, but I haven't had very many people that want to ship me their $200 toy for me to paint and ship back.
Yeah, but worth every penny. Worth every penny.
Another one that I did just for fun when I was playing I don't even remember what game it was. It's a mobile zombie game. I decided to make a replica-ish
Wow.
zombie killer M4.
That
And then
looks, I don't even know
make
what
it
to
look
say
like
about
it
this.
rolled around and neglected everywhere.
Oh my
So
gosh. I hope the Orville production staff is watching this.
I mean, she's next level, Gus. She's a whole other level all by herself.
Yeah. Wow.
but yeah, you want to see
Kiri,
the
you know
thumbnail?
what would be really good, to be honest, would be to take to make individual posts of each of these like weapons and start posting. Do you post them individually on Twitter?
I haven't actually. Um, I have a separate Instagram for my gun tattoos that I post every time I do a new paint job. I post them up on that. Gun tattoos by Kiri Howard.
I think you should post every creation you do, like individually, or two or three of them together, and because in our community, because there's so many creatives in our community, and you never know who's involved in production in our community.
True, true. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the posts with the guns in Twitter. I actually did that. Somebody complained about a comic book cover, and how long have I been doing this? All my life. I'm 45 years old, and I've been doing this basically since I was a little kid. So 35 plus years ish.
Continue with your story, though. You were telling a really great
Oh yeah.
story because this story was all over the community, and then you did a post about it, and I thought it was so beautiful, and it was wicked and cool. I was so happy that you did this. So please, everyone, let her tell this story. This is a great story.
So somebody posted on another stream or on another tweet that they were complaining about this comic book cover of Black Widow, and it was a picture of Black Widow in a pose in her black leather bodysuit, and then the alternate cover of her in a white version, and it was like a mirror image. And the original poster said something like, "I hate this so much," and if you know me, I'm not a real big fan of SJWs.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of us in our community. But then somebody else posted in there, and it's like, yeah, this is a completely impossible pose. I was like, are you kidding me? So I took a quick picture here. Like I stuck my camera on my streaming stand, and I took a picture of me doing that pose. And I said, I'm 45 and I'm not even in that good a shape, and it's not that hard.
Yeah.
And then somebody else, one of my followers saw it, and they said, that looks great. Now we need that pose with guns. And I'm like, I can do that. So I pulled out some of my guns, and I put on my leggings and my nice tight tank top, and I took these pictures just for fun. And people are going nuts over them. And
well, it was apparently physically impossible. The lady said it was physically impossible. And Kiri's like, challenge accepted.
Well, it's like, okay, here we go. This is the pose that's supposedly physically impossible. I don't know if you can see me here.
Let me make you bigger. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so don't mind my grubby clothes here. So one leg forward, or the camera side leg forward, the other one back, on the toes, bum towards the camera, turn the body to look at the camera, and hands up. And this apparently is physically impossible. I could probably hold this all day long.
Yeah.
And like I said, I said to them, I'm 45. I'm not even in that great a shape. I'm not a dancer or contortionist or anything. And there were people like in there like, where? Oh my God, where are her internal organs? You must not be able to do this without a spine. I mean, they were of course joking, but
Yeah.
it was like somebody asked me, said, "Have I ever designed bladed weapons?" Kinda, kind of blades here. I do actually have one that I'm going to be doing just for fun for these Twitter pictures. I've got this little toy here
Oh wow.
that I'm going to be doing some work on, and I've got a kimono that I'm going to play around a little bit with and do kind of like a samurai girl esque cosplay, something very quick and easy, not too crazy, not like this one back here. Just to toss something together to take some pictures, because when I did that little photo shoot, I had a lot of fun with it. I couldn't believe how much fun I had, and the reactions that I'm getting from people. My next one with the guns, at least, I think I'm
Kiri, can
going.
you show them that big blade that has like 2 points on it that you're going to be attaching to the gauntlet? Because when I watched your class, I was shocked by how you made the foam look sharp, and you haven't even painted it yet.
So this is what I've got so far on that one, and here is one of the patterns, and I draw it out 2 pieces in mirror to make it thicker, and then what I do is I just take my craft knife and I rough shape the edge, and then I'll take my Dremel and smooth it from this
Wow.
to this.
And this is really important for the folks at home, especially for cosplay people. Kiri's work is very important because, as you know, a lot of our weapons get banned when we go to the expos, whereas Kiri's would clear the police clearance or the safety check because they're foam. But look at how she makes them sharp. She makes them look like they're sharp.
That's a great point.
Really love that, Kiri. Like, I was blown away. I was like, I couldn't believe that was foam.
Wow.
These are, it'll poke your eye out if you happen to walk into it, but, it's still just 100% foam.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they've got nice, sharp-ish points.
And do those now, Kiri, do some of these ever break while you're working on them?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Knock on wood somewhere, Kiri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that your blade and Dremel technique is just par excellence. It is just so good, Kiri.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's and the reason I did that, like you said, if you go to a convention, especially this armor here with all these blades and pointy things everywhere, they might just say, yeah, no. If it's hard like the Warbler, which I could get, yes, there is a Falcon. We'll get to that.
I told everybody about the Falcon, so everybody's asking about it.
Yeah, if I made the blades out of this stuff here, because it is a hard plastic when it's cool, something like this would not pass at all.
Yeah.
They would just say, sorry, you can't come in.
Yeah.
So the Guy Bulk, the Lance, is going to be all EVA foam with just a piece of PVC pipe down the center for stability.
Yep.
So
Yeah, so I want everybody at home to keep that in mind. These are advanced techniques and advanced ideas from KIRI that really help the cosplay community. They have such verisimilitude. They look completely real.
Right.
And yet when you go by the police table and they have to tape off what you're allowed to have and what you're not allowed to have, well, guess what? You're foam. So this is a tremendous advancement, and it's just excellent work.
So here's kind of what some of it can look like when it is finished. This is part of my ODST.
Wow.
This is the shin and knee guard, but it's all foam as well. And the breastplate that no longer fits me because this was made for a boy. But again, it's all EVA foam.
Wow, that looks amazing, Kiri.
You should auction it off.
I've actually thought about that because I'm not going to wear it again. Oh yes, I did make a bladed weapon for a pyramid head, but that was for a client. I did a pyramid head.
I'm going to show that picture, actually.
Cosplay. And he wanted it to go to the bar district here in Hong Kong and do photo shoots and stuff. So I made his weapon actually out of a piece of plywood, and it's an 8-foot long great knife. It basically looks like a giant butcher knife. And what I did, because it's wood and the character drags this thing along the floor as he goes to find his victims, I drilled the pointed edge. So if this is the knife, in the edge that would be dragging along the ground, I drilled in holes and put Zippo flints in there. So while he dragged it along the cement,
oh, such a good idea!
It worked so well.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how good it looked. And he's worn that costume to Lang Kwai Fong, which is the bar district in Hong Kong, because that's where Halloween is in Hong Kong. And he's worn that every year since I made it. Yeah, there it is. And that was one of my earlier works. And that helmet is about as heavy as it looks. I should have made it out of EVA foam, but back then I was still into my car body mentality. Yeah. So I made it out of cardboard and fiberglass.
Wow.
So it's very heavy.
Yeah, but it definitely has that look. I can see why you were married to that artistically right off the hop, because I mean, look at the way that it looks. Like, it looks so rusted, and yeah, I can see why you liked that idea for a while. It's sexy idea.
Well, I can actually do the same techniques with EVA foam now.
Yeah.
So.
Kiri, are you familiar with Joe Lau?
No, I'm not.
He is in your neck of the woods, and he also does costume and other weapons design as well.
Oh, cool.
So he posted this about you guys connecting. So, well, you can connect with Kiri on Twitter, I think, easily, Joe.
Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So.
By the way, Joe's in Hong Kong, Kiri.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Otherwise, it'd be a very expensive coffee.
That's one of the best things that when your students or your viewers or your audience, when they're watching you work in your studio, that's
Sure.
one thing that I just love about your classes is all of the tropical birds that are around your conservatory or around your area. It's so cool because it's just so peaceful watching Kiri making all these cuts and making all these plants, and then there are these beautiful birds chirping in the background. It's a pretty surreal experience. It's very serene.
When I moved to this this house, there's actually a bird that comes here. It was in September, October. I don't know what kind of bird it is, but I named it the Kiri bird because its call sounds like it's saying my name, and it freaked me out. And I set everything up, and I'm sitting up here having a coffee in the morning, and all I hear is Kiri, Kiri, Kiri. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Speaking of Kiri in our real lives, could you please tell the viewers at home about your new store and about the coffee mugs that are coming?
Oh yes, I've got a sample of my merch. I started a merch shop through Teesprings for my channel, and it will have my Kiri Morning logo with my little tagline, classy, sassy, and a little badassy.
That's funny. I like that.
Right now, I've got coffee mugs, T-shirts, hoodies, phone cases, and I think there was one other thing that I had. And to add to it on the other side or somewhere else in the design, it has a branch of cherry blossoms because my name, and I did not know this when I chose the name for my character and then myself, because as I said, Kiri Morning is my Final Fantasy character's name, and I took the name as my real name because of all the emotional and what's the word, sentimental attachment I had to the character. When I looked up what Kiri means in one of those baby name meaning websites, it turns out it's a real name, not just some cool fantasy name. It's Maori and Japanese. And I've always loved Japanese culture ever since I was a kid, and I saw James Clavell's Shogun. So I thought that was really cool. But what really, really set it off for me was the meaning. Kiri means Paulownia tree, which is a type of flowering tree almost identical to the sakura, which has always been my favorite flower. So it's got these cherry blossoms as well. So the cup will have my name on one side and the cherry blossoms on the other.
Well, I'm going to make sure I get one because when I'm working on my cosplay, I want to be channeling you in my office while I'm working. I need to channel all that good maker energy.
And you can contact me anytime if you need any advice or ideas.
Oh, that's very generous of you.
Yes, actually, I have. I did at first I did one of these guys. Another airsoft gun. It's an Ares Amoeba, but it was the Honey Badger version, so it had a nice smooth foregrip rather than this Picatinny rail. And the guy had put like a cookie cutter flash hider on it, and I did it all up in bronzes and coppers and golds, and then weathered it all out to make it look very steampunkish.
Joe says that's so Fortnite.
I actually just downloaded Fortnite. I played like 5 minutes of it, and I was like, this is kind of like PUBG. What needs a silencer? Silencers are for babies. Go in with guns blazing. Let them know where you are. But yeah, so I've done some steampunk stuff. I want to do more because I love steampunk. Maybe when my tummy's a little flatter, I can do a nice, sexy steampunk outfit.
Yes, Fortnite is a game, Kronos.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like a first-person shooter battle royale thing, and it's kind of cute. Some of the characters are fun and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I found out it was free, so I downloaded it and I played it a little bit. But I've heard so many people talking about Fortnite, and I never played it. And I call myself a gamer.
You do? Okay. Um, wow. Now I gotta say I don't understand your world too much, but every video I see of yours, or almost every video, you just blow me away with what you're doing. It's just it's I think it seriously, I'm not kidding. I just think that's why we wanted to interview you, because and Raquel is as much as amazed as I am, even though she understands it. I don't understand it. um, but I didn't mean to interrupt before your walkthrough of the mannequin. Did you finish with the
Well, yeah, I mean, it's basically I haven't got a lot there, and it's all pretty much the same sort of stuff. Um, if you watch my uh, live stream videos, everything's pretty much there.
Can you
um,
show us, Kiri, like what is that, like a cross on the skirt or something
oh,
right
this,
behind
yeah.
you? Like on the down below, is that a cross on the skirt?
Kind of.
So this is the way she runs her classes, guys. What she does is, and gals, what she does is she zeroes in on different pieces of the armor and different pieces of the costume, and then she will show you how she creates the paper patterns for them, and then she'll take your questions, and then she basically makes it in front of you. This is why I'm telling you, her show is so amazing. You need to get your bums in the seats for her show, because she will show you how to do each and every single one of these pieces. And her techniques are invaluable, folks. This is next level stuff.
So here's the skirt armor, and that's what you're kind of talking about. It's just
Wow.
something that is in the game that has, and I haven't finished the other two for the other side. I'm kind of doing just the right side in my videos for people to see, but
Look at that level of finishing. Wow.
so as I was saying, as I walk, because it sits on my hips, and I walk from side to side, and inside here, this little thingy here, is where the tail is going to be mounted in.
Yeah.
Get
Wow.
in there.
Beauty.
So that will be like that, and just the natural sway of my hips will sway the tail side to side.
Wow.
Once again, look at how KIRI has this amazing technique in craftsmanship that makes foam that you do yoga on look like metal. It's just, you guys, this is great. So beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not anything overly special. I learned a lot of my techniques from trial and error and tutorials like this, but most of them are just pre-made videos, whereas I'd like to, oops, I'm knocking stuff over. I like to be able to, interact with my viewers directly. That way, if something isn't quite clear, they can ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, if it's a pre-made video that's just posted up on YouTube, like the ones that I learned a lot of my stuff from, there's a lot of guesswork still.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Mordu, I have to seal it up with probably regular like white glue. That's generally what I use. I coat it all in white glue, and then I spray it with Plasti Dip, which is like, it's almost like a rubberized truck bed liner type paint. Works fantastic. That's what I did on my ODST armor. And then once I've done that and sealed it, then you can paint it any color you want, and it sticks to the foam and the paint sticks to it. And then if you get any, if you happen to get bumped and it gets a crease, you just knock it with the heat gun for a second and poof, the creases are gone.
And there will also be some fur on this costume, folks. There will be purple and white fur on this costume.
Really?
Because remember, this is a sexy, beautiful purple warrior cat.
Yes. It will be on the tail. I will probably, as soon as I get a little bit of extra money, I will go and get some of that fur to do that. And I can show sheathing the tail. And then I'll make my cat ears that are going to go on there. And I probably, I'm back, girl. We'll see. We'll see about that one. I've got so many suggestions now. I can probably build cosplays into the next 20 years and get them all done. I've had somebody suggest I do Morticia Adams, Black Widow, Laura Croft. What else was there? I can't even remember now.
Your pictures that you did the other day were very Lara Croft.
Yeah, I've actually got glasses very similar to hers. And
cool.
when I heard that, I thought I should have worn one of these in that picture, because that would have been perfect.
Nah, I love your beautiful eyes. I vote for eyes. I thought your badass glam shots were just perfect the way they were.
I'm really surprised how well they turned out, because that was just me with my phone on a tripod.
Yeah.
By myself up here, and I just had really good lighting over by my door there, and it worked out nicely.
By the way, Kiri, I don't know if you've ever seen Raquel on some of our shows, but her avatar is a cosplay itself.
Yeah,
that's her.
You mentioned about the Romulan or Vulcan.
Vulcan, yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't really had the opportunity or the honor to meet Raquel, but that's going to change for sure.
Yes.
And sorry, go ahead, Raquel.
No, I just said yes, please.
And our other co-host, Katie, couldn't be here, and she's just a whole different story about cosplay. Both of these ladies are into cosplay, so let me just say we're not bored on our streams. Kiri, so how did you? All right, so what came before, the costumes or the model work, or was it both all at the same time?
They kind of evolved simultaneously. I got into building plastic model kits, and then I, of course, started to kit bash them, which is a film term where a model maker for like ILM or whatever will take little pieces of models, and stick them on different areas to make it look more technical. The Falcon is an excellent example of that. You can actually see, the transmission case halves of a Ferrari, or the suspension assembly, like this steering rack for a I think it's
Like
a
this?
240SX. Yeah, I think it's 240SX. And they take these models, and yeah, that picture there, that was not part of the original model. I did that all from scratch because that's where a battery box was supposed to go.
Wow.
And when you take the cover off, it's exposed, and it was just
Wow.
the inside of the model. And I said, yeah, that's not happening. So in there, I've got bits of car models, motorcycle models. You can see a little tiny gun in there as well. And there's a couple of
Really?
things
Where's the
sticking out.
gun?
Actually, the gun right there in
okay.
the, yeah, that's it.
This is it. Okay.
Right next to a master cylinder from a car model. And those two circles right above the gun are the snaps for clothing.
You may actually be the coolest chick I have ever met. I wish I lived in Hong Kong.
So there you got the lower or the rear subframe and differential casing for a car model. Off on the left there's a muffler over there, and a piece of a Gundam. I think it's his eyes with the little guns that come out of the side of his head.
Oh.
Wow.
And then
Yeah, the level of
the upper
detail
right
is
actually had two. They were the valves from one of the, or from two of the my airsoft guns for the gas valve,
Upper right.
inlet valves for the magazines.
KIRI, this box isn't even 2 inches wide, right?
Well, I can show you if you want.
Yes, please.
Sure, yeah.
Your mind is a marvel. Please show us everything.
So we'll take a tour of the Falcon. Flip this. Oh, hang on. All right. Get this out of the way. So here is my Millennium Falcon model. So this is 32 inches in diameter, or in length. So to give you a bit of a scale, there's my hand.
Okay.
And like I was saying before, here's one of the subframes. Oops, I just lost, there we go. So here is one of the subframes for a some car. I'm not even sure what it is. And then one of the things that I really liked was this little guy right here is actually an ammo box for a an old World War II model, and then the other side of it's over here.
Wow.
And inside these vents, I don't know if you can see, there are actually working fans.
Oh, no way.
That's insane.
Yep, I lift this up.
Oh,
They're actually working computer fans, because the LEDs that I put in, LEDs are not hot, but the resistors that I put in are very hot. And I don't know where there it is. The nose cone for.
So those fans are purely for functioning and engineering. I mean, yeah, that's
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, they're to keep the insides from melting.
Yeah. Wow.
And everything lights up in here.
Wow.
As you can see, there's some fiber optics.
Oh, I'm going to show. Yeah, later after KIRI's done with this, I'm going to show a couple of pictures of the lighting is unbelievable.
Yeah. So there's lights all along the dash here. The little screen lights up. All the stuff in the back, there's all lights in there as well. I don't know if you can see, but there's the landing lights here and the hazard light. and you can see
Kiri,
how
can
big
you?
this.
You know what? I'm just gonna post that picture of the landing light so people can. 1 second before you go
Oh,
ahead,
sure.
so people can appreciate what you're showing us because the landing lights are insane.
Yeah.
You watch. Wait till you see this, guys. 1 sec. Oh, here's George. Hey, George.
Hey man, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hold on. Let me put. I want to post the picture before Kiri goes on. I want to post that picture of the landing lights because it's gonna blow you guys away. Where's that picture? There we go. Here we go. Wow, check this out, guys. The landing lights. Whoops. Look at that.
There we go.
Yeah.
It looks like you're on the set. I mean, it looks like when you're walking around the Falcon.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's amazing.
Yeah. God.
And that was about I think about a year ago when I took that picture, and a lot of the underside wasn't even finished being painted. Oops.
That is just mind-boggling, Kiri. Sorry, I'm going to let you go on. Continue. Let's see. Go ahead.
So we take the dish off, and here is the real magic. Get those out of there. So here's that little box that we were talking about. So,
Wow. Yeah, it's not that big. Yeah.
Just so good. It's just so. It's not good. It's excellent. It's just simply excellent.
Lucasfilm wouldn't have done any better.
No, and your mouth should just be wide open, just in shock. I mean, this is excellent.
and then the main cargo hold.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for the latecomers, is this an existing model kit, or you made this from scratch?
Yes, it was originally a kit from Diagostini. They had, it's what they call a piece part. I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically you get a subscription to a magazine.
Oh my God, is this it? I
Yes,
I know that kit system. Holy smokes!
It's heavily modified. The original cargo bay was very plain. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at these are the high quality pictures that Kiri took that she sent me. Look at this, guys. This is amazing. Look at the lighting and look at all the lighting, but beneath the floor panels.
And one of the things that I kind of wanted to point out to give you an idea of the scale, this helmet right here,
Mm-hmm.
that's the blast helmet that Luke Skywalker was wearing in
Yeah.
the first movie, fighting the drone with his lightsaber.
It's tiny.
Yeah, it's 6 millimeter diameter. It's the same as an airsoft BB.
Wow.
Wow.
Look at the chair.
And
Wow.
what I had done, like this back wall here, I don't know how well you can see it, but this back wall was all flat. So I basically chopped it all up and remade it myself. And this one
Really?
as well. All of these posts, all of these supports are all scratch built.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, can I give you my name and address for your will?
Actually, this model is for sale.
Oh my gosh.
I will be selling this once I finish it, because my surgery is very expensive and I need money.
There
What?
might also be a wonderful costume up for grabs as well. I'm
yes,
encouraging
yes.
Kiri to sell that one as well. I think she should auction it because I think she'll get like a lot of interest.
I'm going to put up another picture, Kiri, of of that you sent me. Of 1 sec. Let's see. Look at this, guys. Look at this picture.
It's wonderful that she moved to Hong Kong so she has access to these cameras. You know?
Wait. Where's that picture?
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, so I have, as you can see there, that little doorway in the upper leftish, right near the tunnel. I actually made the room for that because that didn't exist in the original model interior. Can I get my?
Isn't that the room where a hand made this move on Leia?
Yes, that is the kissing room, and they left it out.
Look at the picture that I'm going to show you the picture that Kiri's talking about. You're going to show us first? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Kiri,
see, that's where she punched the hole in the wall. There it is.
Yeah, so I made this entire room from scratch, and it has lights in it as well, so it has the same feeling. And I'm gonna stick my camera in there, and you can see that hallway actually isn't that deep because you can see my phone looking back at you. There's a mirror in the back of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show a picture of that now, that's lit up that you sent me. Wait, where is that picture? Here we go. This is that. Yeah, this is the right picture, right? I think is this the right picture, Kiri? Hold on 1 sec. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
That's actually...
That is insane.
It's insane. It's so perfect.
That's actually the hallway going to the landing ramp and then to the cockpit.
Look at those individual lights. Those are tiny.
They were a pain in the ass to make too.
Yeah.
They were these tiny little photo etched rings for the backing, and then I made the cones out of this stuff. The trees.
Yeah.
And then drilled all.
Look, when we blow this up, it looks like we're on a live set.
That's my feeling as well, PJ. That's exactly how I feel.
Hold it right there. Is that the Ghostbusters proton pack?
No, actually, that's the knee actuators from a Gundam model.
Wow.
Her mind is a marvel, folks. Her mind is a marvel. A maker first class.
Oh, I do have some completely original pieces. Hang on, let me grab them.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I know, I saw the game table was there. Yeah, the detail is mind-blowing.
So, I'm back. I am a huge horror fan. That's one of my my first loves is horror, especially Asian horror. And being a gamer girl, the two do go together. And one of my favorite games ever is the Fatal Frame series. So I decided to, first I did this to a Agfa Isolet antique camera that I bought in Hong Kong. I remolded it and did all kinds of neat stuff just to see if I could.
So cool.
And then I decided to write a script, which was a prologue to the first game. I still haven't filmed it, but I did start production on a lot of the set miniatures and props. One being the iconic camera obscura
Oh, wow.
that the main character uses. Now, this is all scratch built. This is balsa wood and paper, some plastic and whatnot. But the question about steampunk, I kind of wanted to make this thing very steampunkish. Can't open it. 1 second. It's been sitting on my shelf for so long. In the story, my main character is going to be working on this when he before he goes to the mansion and dies. Now this piece has come off. That was on the backside, but
Oh, wow.
It's supposed to be a mystical camera. So I've got these crystals here and here with lights behind them that light up. That's what the wiring is for. So yeah, it's
Beautiful.
a little bit of a steampunkish feel to it.
Beautiful. A photographer somewhere should offer you a mint for that, Kiri.
Yeah, but they might not like me for this one because this is now very non-functional, and this is an antique camera. But
that was beautiful.
And I actually built the house, the mansion that this all takes place in, and I will have to bring you downstairs because it's quite a large model. But I will do so because you guys seem to be interested.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, this is a real treat, Kiri, by the way. So feel free to just show us anything you want to show us.
No, not interested. Just tell us your address and what time you're not going to be there. That's for a friend.
And my son is still asleep. So, let me get up here. It's sitting on top of my wardrobe. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow. It's so beautiful. Look at the trees and the bushes.
Wow.
Oh, my word.
Amazing.
And look, you even have a downed tree on the front. That's crazy.
Did you build the entire structure to real scale? Meaning you start off from the interior, the wood, the raft holding and all that stuff, and build out?
What I did was I found, as best as I could, a scale floor plan from the game and basically blew that up. And there's actually some more pieces to it here. Got some stairs. And this is changing scale from this to this. It actually gets smaller because I didn't have a lot of room. And
did you paint that picture that we just left there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you paint too. I knew it. Yeah, maker and artist. You are just mind-blowingly talented woman.
And my big messy workshop. Yeah, so I basically, using the floor plans and a lot of eyeballing and guesswork, I built the mansion as close to the scale as I humanly possibly could. For that game, there wasn't a lot of really detailed stuff, but I researched the average height of Japanese buildings of that era that the house was supposed to have been built in, and then did all the math, which was mind-boggling, using the floor plan and the measurements and all the stuff that I know about how Japanese houses and culture and everything are to get that thing as it is. Now, it's just the outside because I was going to build more sets of the interior for the characters to interact That's really just a set piece for forced perspective. When you see the main character walking up the steps, I built that model for, I think, a 4-second scene.
Wow.
Wow.
Which
Guys,
is
everybody,
yet to be filmed.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Anybody who hasn't subbed yet to Kiri's channel, please click on those three dots and I'm sorry, the three dots to the link, and please sub.
And for those who joined us late, please know that Kiri talks about all of this stuff on her stream. So you learn from her, you watch her, she discusses things. She is very attentive to her audience. So if you have questions and things like that, Kiri will just get in there and she'll answer all of your questions. She's also on Twitter and she's also on Instagram. So reach out to all of her channels and just absorb all of her beautiful art and all of her makery.
That would be fantastic. I love you forever.
George, do you have any questions, George?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Finish, Kiri. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I really love when my viewers start asking me questions. And it is a little bit of a problem for me because I can go off on a tangent and kind of not to focus so much on what I'm doing. But, as long as my viewers are engaged and they're enjoying the stream, I don't really mind that much. It's not like I'm going anywhere.
Yeah.
I urge anybody to who hasn't been with us from the beginning to go back and watch the rest of the video, because there's a lot of interesting stuff there. And George, did you have any questions or comments?
No. I'm very well aware of the model kits, the mail-in model kit system. I'm just curious, how long did it take, and why did you decide to challenge yourself to such a degree?
Well, first, I built basically every one of the ATM, Ertl, Revell model kits, whether it was Star Wars, Star Trek, and I built all of them multiple times, detailed them, modified them and everything. I think I probably had about 6 Falcon models, and I was never really that impressed with the finish. And then a friend of mine told me that at 7-Eleven they were selling these Millennium Falcon things, and I checked it out and I started buying them. And I bought them every week for 100 weeks to get all the parts. And I actually bought multiples for some of them because, for example, one of the modifications that I did is this docking ring thing here on the left side of the Falcon.
Can we make her big, please? Oh, yeah, thank you.
The original mounting solution for wall mounting this thing that the company made is basically one of those computer wall mount monitor things, and the base plate covers up 2/3 of the bottom of the ship. And after all the work I put into it, I didn't want to cover up all of that, and you can see how big it is. Hong Kong homes are very small, so taking up that much space when it's finished in my home, not going to happen. So what I did was I bought 2 of these. This is the docking ring to the left side, and I modified it so that the center can come out, and the other has a small hole in it that a rod will go in to a framework inside the model that's attached to the metal frame of the model itself, and then it will mount to the wall via that. So,
oh, interesting.
So that was the idea there. And then, of course, some of the stuff, trying to remember why I bought another one of the hallway. I can't remember exactly. I think I wanted extra parts, or I broke something, or something along those lines.
Guys?
Testing, testing.
Yeah, I think we lost PJ. Kiri, are you still here, sweetheart? Oh no, we lost Kiri.
I'm here.
Hi.
Sorry,
Hi.
I don't know what happened.
Did we cut out?
Yeah, just for a little while. But anyway, you're back now. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So like the 3D printed parts that I ordered off Shapeways, like those tiny little cargo boxes in the main hold, the little tool pouches, and the floor grids and all of that. I think I'd probably spent upwards of $4,000 or $5,000 for everything for this, and it's taken me a little over 3.5 years from start to finish so far. I
Wow.
still have some work more left to do on it.
Wow.
But the reasoning behind it was I was really impressed with the level of accuracy and detail that this model had. And I really wanted to challenge myself and build my Mona Lisa.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're not creating, Kiri? Like you're a painter, you're a maker, you do cosplay, you're doing all this incredibly detailed modeling, and also for the people who are late in joining us, Kiri is also a filmmaker. So what does somebody like you, an incredibly creative person, what do you do in your downtime?
I used to be a kindergarten teacher.
Wonderful. Inspiring young minds.
Yeah. And I like to bring my artistic stuff into my classes as well, and the kids love it. They one of the things I used to do with my classes was I read Pete the Cat books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with Pete the Cat, but he's this silly blue-black cat, and it's children's stories. So I made a life-size Pete the Cat figure to bring into the classroom with.
Oh,
The kids really love that.
oh, wonderful. That's wonderful.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on.
That's okay. We were just chatting about what she's doing when she's not completely redesigning the world and creating beautiful things in all mediums. So everyone at home found out that she's a teacher.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, like I said, after I came out, that sort of went downhill, and now I'm unemployed, so I have lots of time to make. I just have not so much money.
Well, hopefully, with a little bit of exposure, we can get some online workshops going, and people can go to your Patreon and they can subscribe to you, and we can really reward you for your incredible craft.
That would be fantastic. Nothing would make me happier than being able to do this stuff and live off of it.
Yeah.
I love making, and I love sharing my experience and my skills with people.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the reasons why I taught for so long, is because I like sharing the knowledge that I've gained with other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to do this stuff full time, absolute dream come true.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. George, what are we looking at?
My camera can't seem to switch off, so I can go to icon mode. So I just found a picture and pointed at it. This is joking in being cursed by the werewolf.
Oh, okay, cool. Now, I was telling KIRI before that you are a one-man show, and I was telling KIRI that she reminded me of you in a sense that she covers all these bases, like she's a whole department of theater, really. So I don't know. I just I see a lot of parallels between your how do I say, what's the right way to phrase this? A lot of parallels in you're both very versatile.
Yeah, why wait on other people? Isn't that right?
Exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, when I started filmmaking, like I said, I couldn't find, and I didn't know um, very many people in the filmmaking industry. And if I wanted to get a finished product, I had to figure it all out myself and do it myself, because I couldn't pay people to edit and color grade and do Foley and do visual effects and do the titles. So I just learned how to do it all myself and try and do the best job I can.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow. Guys in the chat, do we have any questions before we start to wrap this up? Anybody in the chat have any questions? I mean, we had several questions before, but KIRI went answering them as she saw them.
Yeah, that's her nature. She's very much like that. You could totally tell that she's an instructor and a teacher, because her classes, like her stream is always like that. If anybody asks anything, KIRI's like, she'll drop everything and she'll get right to you. She's a very caring person.
I try.
Yeah. So KIRI, what just to touch upon this again. What's the main project you're focused on right now in the coming months?
Right now, I'm working mostly on my Dragoon cosplay, and that's what I'm covering on my channel the most. I do want to get into finishing the Falcon so that I can sell it. That way I can hopefully get my surgery done sooner rather than later. And like I said earlier, I'm getting a real kick out of these photos that I took for Twitter. So I'm probably going to do some, quick little cosplay outfits to, do like little photo shoots around and whatnot, just to entertain the masses, because I know you guys are going stir crazy in your quarantine zones.
Yeah, can you just let people know in the Western world, you guys are pretty much back to normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, more people than average are still wearing the masks, and I've actually seen some people wearing like paint respirators like this one. I use it for painting. They use it for not dying, I guess. But paint respirators and stuff. But I would say a good third of the people are not wearing them anymore. There's social things going on. I mean, the garbage is being taken out, things are being delivered, old lady walking to get groceries, a couple of kids having a stroll, and it's a rainy day, so there's not a lot of people.
So there are events going on now again.
Oh yeah. They are talking about closing the bar district for a while, so we're not out of the woods yet. But by and large, I would say things are pretty much back to normal. We had that toilet paper thing that you guys are going through. We had that about a month ago, and it was crazy. But it only lasted about a week. And I honestly believe that came from Hong Kong. There was a WhatsApp group for parents that somebody started a rumor that the toilet paper supply from China was going to be cut off. So people went crazy buying crap loads of toilet paper, and then it all got restocked and everything was fine a week later. But shortly after that, I started seeing reports from like Australia and UK and then the US. So I honestly think it's our fault.
Interesting. So it was, the idea was seeded from that. That's very interesting. Thank you for that insight.
I mean, that's my theory. I have no proof of that, but
Yeah.
it happened here and then happened everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any reason why people would be hoarding toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that here in Hong Kong, it was because of the rumor that the supply was going to be cut off from China.
Mm-hmm.
So here, it kind of made sense. It was ridiculous, but at least here, there was an actual reason. Oh, yes. After that was sanitary pads, rice, and condoms.
That's funny. Okay.
And those stupid surgical masks, they're not designed the way most people are using them. They're to keep things in, not keep things out. But they were in such short supply here. Normally a box of, I think, 100 of them in Hong Kong was like 150 Hong Kong dollars, which is like, I think, 25 US dollars, something like that. The stores that still had these things had marked them up to 1,800 Hong Kong dollars from 150.
Wow.
So
Wow.
now they're everywhere, and you can buy, singles at 7-Eleven for $2 or whatever, and it's, supply chain is completely back to normal.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah. Well,
Any type of normalcy is encouraging.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Well, let me say that
I just don't understand how this panic buy spread all over the world, especially with the toilet paper. I still can't imagine, like, even if the supply from China was cut off in Hong Kong, you don't need 500 rolls of toilet paper.
No.
And
the
China
Americans.
is not the only place it comes from.
You and I both love Japanese culture. That's something that you and I have in common. And I got to tell you, people really just need to get on the bidet bandwagon. Just get a bidet. Just get a bidet.
I used one of those when I went to Tokyo in 2009.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting experience. Definitely an interesting experience.
I had one in my home for 15 years. I loved it. That was great.
Yeah, Joe is saying that toilet paper won't protect you from virus. That's true.
That's true.
And if you need that much toilet paper, you got other problems to worry about.
It's a respiratory illness. It's not the trots.
Did you guys see that thing on Twitter? That's like a toilet. It's all over Twitter. It's like a toilet, but it shoots. It's like a toilet / bidet, all in one.
No, I haven't seen it.
That's based off of the Japanese high-tech toilets. Those things are incredible. The seats have heating elements in them, so you can have a nice heated seat that you sit down on. The Japanese are very private people, so certain bodily function sounds are considered embarrassing. So some of the toilet seats actually play music.
Yeah.
And they have this little thing that it comes out from the back of the seat and squirts water up at your bum. And it's got a variety of settings. You can have it, just to wash. You can have it to massage. You name it.
Yeah. I always tell people, Japanese people wash their posterior. They don't just wipe. It's not that gross.
No, it's much cleaner, and you're not going to have that nasty, skid mark on your white undies if you don't do such a good job.
Oh.
Kiri, I have a question. When you did the lighting for the bottom and the exterior of the Falcon, did you try different lights to get the proper effect? Or
No,
did
I knew exactly what I
you knew
wanted.
exactly what to?
Yeah. I just I figured out how many lights I needed from reference pictures from the film, and I gauged how bright they were. Now for the warning lights, the red warning lights, they're really tiny. I think they're like 2 millimeter. I wish I
Fiber
had.
optic, right?
You know what? I might actually still have them.
Oh,
Is
wow.
that just fiber optic, Kiri?
No, I was going to use fiber optics, but it wasn't giving me the effect that I wanted. No, I don't have them. But yeah, they were base. Hang on. I might.
Oh, and I have another question for you. I wanted to ask you.
But the red lights, they're basically an LED, and then it's got a little post that sticks out, and the whole post glows, and that fits inside those little housings that are on the outside. If I use the fiber optics, because fiber optics only light the very end, it wouldn't give me the side glow that I wanted. So these LEDs, the solution.
Yeah. Wow. That because it's just so realistic that the lighting is just so accurate. I mean the video. And I wanted to ask you, what is this a picture of? Because I'm not placing it properly.
Oh, that's the entry ramp.
That's
Yeah,
what. Okay, it is the entry ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all custom built. The original model had the opening ramp that just opened to the inside of the model. So
is this supposed to be like this? Is this correct?
No, you've got it upside down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those lights are along the roof, and then
the roof
side.
Okay.
And then that orangish thing at the end is the door that slides up into the circle hallway that goes around the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, the inside of that model, the ramp opens up and looks all right ish. I had to modify the ramp itself as well, but it just opened to the inside of the model, just not finished at all, and you could see some of the metal frame, and that's it. So I cut the frame, added all this stuff, and I've got to re-add the motor on top of it all, so that with the remote you can open and close the ramp.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Well, I gotta say this this has been a real treat. Kiri, do you guys have any other questions before we let Kiri go, guys?
I would just like to say, please reward this maker and this artist. Please go to her workshops. She offers teasers on her YouTube channel. Please sub to it. But also, you should also know that Kiri opened a store. So if you want to support a maker and you want to support an artist and in a genre of stuff that we all love, because, I mean, she's a part of our crew, please do that. This person is incredibly talented and kind, and she deserves our support. And I just want to say to you, Kiri, that you have impressed me to no end today. I have so much respect for you. You are just so talented and so wonderful. And the way you treat people, wow, you know, people could take a page out of your book. So I just love you, oodles and poodles. It was very, very great to meet you. Such an honor. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, Kiri, thank you. George, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, goodbye.
Okay. Yeah, we're not catching thanks for joining us, by the way, George. I know it was hard for you to join us. Kiri, thank you so much. And I hope you'll be on with us again. And maybe next time Katie will be here, so because she'll love it. And if you ever if you ever want to have, any of us on your channel, we'd be glad to be there as well. And go connect with Joe, because Joe wants to talk to you about swords and costumes.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, KIRI. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, Alaric. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Death by Saber, Dave Bob, Mr. Lundell, Adega. Thank you, Adega, for wrenching. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alicia. Thanks for everybody, guys. You guys all have a great night and be safe.
Yeah.
Or a great day and be safe.
Yeah.